In terms of rituals, it might be, just something we might be cooking together in a more relaxed time on the weekends. We might make pizzas from scratch, pasta from scratch, or press tacos. And I think they've become lovely rituals to sort of a more interactive cooking together. But in terms of just a daily thing, I think it's about sitting down and being there despite what's going on, even around all the clubs and whatnot, just being present for, a short time and speaking about our day.
I think I know you better. Oh, if I knew your recipe. How much love do you put in the bowl when you cook from the soul, trying to feed your family? And do you have hand-me-down treasures from grandma's handwritten letters? The ones with the measurements. And do you have a lot of fun and laugh while you're prepping it? What'd you have for dinner last night? For your daughters and your dinner last night.
This week on Dinner Last Night, we talk with the fabulous, witty, and incredibly driven Catherine Carnevale, who's the founder of one of my favorite brands, 11/6.
Catherine trained as a knitwear designer, a specialty of fashion design in the UK, and built a successful career in corporate fashion. After moving to New York in 2002, she went on to design knitwear for iconic brands like Club Monaco.
But everything shifted on a trip to the Peruvian Andes when Catherine was 3 months pregnant with her first child. Deeply inspired by the region's extraordinary alpaca textiles and the sacred power of the Andes, she had this really clear vision, or epiphany as she likes to call it, for a different kind of approach to fashion and a different kind of lifestyle that she wanted with her family.
That's right. She wanted to build a company that was rooted in ethical sourcing and direct relationships with artisans. And she felt a profound pull to build a life and career that allowed for flexibility, a key word you'll hear us talk about with Catherine, and presence and time with her children. She wanted to be able to be with them.
So Catherine returned home from this incredible trip, mind spinning. And then she left her corporate career and began building 11/6 from the ground up right out of her basement here in upstate New York.
In this conversation, Catherine offers an unfiltered look at what it's been like to grow a values-driven brand while raising 2 little kids, and how her motto, which we love, "You have to eat super to be super, I have to remember to tell my kids that," is shaped by the simple, nourishing Mediterranean traditions of her husband's Italian family.
Catherine's story is one of fierce integrity, deep dedication, unshakable optimism and drive, and also, as you'll hear, plenty of dance breaks. We cannot wait for you to meet her. Welcome, Catherine. We're so excited to have you on Dinner Last Night.
Hi, Dimitri and Emma. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay.
So excited to have you. Yes, go ahead, Dim.
Well, first question we're always dying to know is, what did you have for dinner last night?
Dinner last night. I cooked last night, and we had a petrale sole fish, quinoa, and garlicky greens. There was kale, broccoli, and zucchini. It was a whole mashed together. Fish came from Sea to Table, my friend's sustainable fish company. It's always a easy grab from the fridge. Yeah.
That sounds amazing and so sophisticated. Did your kids eat all of that?
Yeah, we always typically eat everything together. There might be an odd adjustment now and again, but that is probably a few times a week, a typical, I'd call it like a trio of balance on a plate, whether it be, protein, carb, and a veggie.
So good. Your kids are such good eaters, and I know they love eating out, right? And going to restaurants.
They do a little too much, but definitely they're fairly adventurous. So we support it as much as we can financially.
Yeah, yeah, they're the opposite of mine. Mine never want to go out. It's very frustrating. Although I guess better for my wallet, but it'd be nice to go out.
Are you the primary cook at home?
No, it's I would say it's really, really 50-50, which I'm very grateful for, because I think I'd find cooking a lot more of a labor if, as being upstate, you do a lot of cooking at home. We don't eat out that much, by the way. It's a treat when we do. But so a lot of home cooking, and Nick, my husband and business partner too, and life partner, we 50-50 it, and ebb and flow. It's not too planned. It's quite organic, but it helps keep the support system in place.
How do you decide who has what nights? How do you structure that?
People have asked me that before. I guess everyone's curious, and I love listening to your podcast to hear, like, how do other people do it? But we never too, regimented. There's never like list on the fridge. I mean, I'm probably the most primary like bulk grocery buyer, just because typically men tend to go and only get 2 meals or a meal and a half. And I'd like to know I've got some staples in so that we can roll. And that allows us to make sure you've got your staples in basically. And there's proteins from either seed to table or our, like chicken in, and that allows us sort of to be a little less sort of regimented in a plan. But there's definitely just like a rotation of dishes we might do. Spaghetti bolognese happens to be a Monday favorite when it's cold, and it feels like that's the one thing we're just like, yeah, easy. We've got it. Everyone loves it, especially in the winter, warming. We just feel kind of grounded for the week with a big spag bowl.
Yes, that is Emma and my comfort food. It's our go-to meal. I love that. Okay, you are one of the most, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. I said before we hopped on this call that I am so inspired by you. You're one of those people who just seems to be able to do it all. You have this amazing company that you run with your husband, just the two of you. You have, I think, one employee, right? But other than that, you do everything, all the nuts and bolts, all the design, all the sourcing, the selling, and it's an incredible company. And then on top of that, you're raising 2 children. You're active in the community. I'm just so curious how, one, you seem to do it all, but what does dinner time look like in your house? How do you go through your day and then be able to cook a meal like that and sit down together?
Both Nick and I mean, we definitely, maybe a question later, but I'm obviously British. He's got Italian roots, but we definitely, I think, lean on a bit more of a Italian or a Mediterranean way of putting things together in terms of food. So we just don't get fussy. I mean, we source olive oil from the south of Italy. We have salt, pepper, simple seasoning, as I just spoke to, having like a simple protein, a carbohydrate and a veggie. So we don't, probably 15 to 20 minutes is unless we're doing a dinner party, would be our max kind of time prepping and fluidly getting something on the table, because we just, as you said, we're busy, everyone's busy. But it's really important that we do have, a balanced meal, and we're trying our best to keep everyone healthy, which for me, I take my breakfast and my lunches, I always have, even through like corporate world, so that I know what's going in my body and I can be super if I'm eating super. So that's probably one of my tricks to trying to, I'm certainly not Superman, but trying to achieve many aspects of one's life. That's
a great little golden nugget. I can be super if I'm eating super. It's so true. You really feel what you eat if you...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you touched on your British and Italian roots in your household. I'm curious what a typical dinner in your house was like growing up.
Well, my mum was being a mother of 3. She became a full-time mum after having us and gave up her home economics career. So she was naturally a baker, a homebody. She was sewing. I think that's where a lot of my skills came from. So she did a lot of baking. It was probably rooted in quite traditional British, I'd say pre-Jamie Oliver, because he changed a lot, era. Old-fashioned pastries, pies, a lot of cakes, things. I just remember being alongside her, helping her, stood on a stool, preparing things like that. And now it's funny because I'm not a baker. I barely cook cakes. I love baked things are a treat. So it's not something I'm doing at home there, but that's what I remember from my childhood. And then also roast dinners, which is probably the thing we do when it's warm here, but in our own way. I like to roast the vegetables, make them tasty, not boil them. So.
Is that a traditional Sunday roast? You'd roast the meat and then boil the vegetables? Back
home, growing up, and I definitely went through a very fussy phase of like really going against the grain with a lot of the way the veggies were cooked. And I always wonder now, if I'd have cooked them and charred them, like my kids won't eat sort of bland vegetables now, and they'll send them back in a restaurant and say, can you char it and put more garlic? But I used to literally, ping the sprouts onto my dad's plate or put them in a bag between my legs, because it just, but then, I grew into, getting a bit more adventurous. But the Sunday roast thing was definitely a traditional Sunday thing that happened in the house.
Preparation is everything. So true. Okay, so I want to go back to talk about 11/6, your company that I alluded to. And I know you mentioned that you were in the corporate fashion world, and the way that you've described creating this company, and I've read about it as well, is you sort of had this epiphany. You were in Peru in the Andes, which is a sacred place, and you just had this realization that you wanted more balance in your life. So I'd love to hear more about that moment for you, and also what it's been like to start a business and parent alongside of that, and whether you feel like you have achieved that balance and how you apply that to parenting and running a business.
There's a lot of questions in there, so I may be waffling on until the end of the podcast. You might need to cue me in on a few aspects.
Okay, start by telling us about the moment where you realized,
yes,
the epiphany.
Okay. So I came off the boat to America about 23 years ago, 23 and a bit.
Did you actually take a boat?
Oh, I didn't. I flew in with 2 suitcases and a knitting machine, but I like to say I got off the boat. No, I came back to New York. I felt I'd interned here, and I came to start a career because I felt the energy and the opportunity in New York, especially in knitwear, because they don't have the training here. So, there's a lot of trained people from the UK, and they don't have necessarily enough jobs on that small island. So I soon realized I should fling myself afar, left my now husband back then. I thought it would be 2 years, and here I am. But that led me into, corporate fashion, more opportunities. That was a 15-year stint. So I became, kind of a specialist knitwear designer, which I was trained to be, and then, built and climbed my way up in a career, Calvin Klein, Monaco, etc. And then it kind of, reached a point where Nick had come over, and he'd left his corporate career that he started in America, and went to start a coffee shop and become an entrepreneur himself. When I went to Peru the first time, I had lost my mum, and the first trip for me was just, I wanted to go to a powerful place, and I just heard things about Peru. I wanted to go to the Sacred Valley to visit and feel, and I'd gone with some girlfriends, and Nick was opening one of his coffee shops, and then so taken by this place, I wanted to take Nick back. I think it was 2 years later. And I actually was 3 months pregnant when we took that trip. I wanted to see, this vast landscape, this amazing mountains. Little did I know that I would feel this feeling, what I call my true epiphany, that, big life change was coming. I'm about to become a mother, thinking a lot about my mother again, and how, she'd always been around for me growing up, and how in my corporate career, this is pre-COVID, when now things have changed a little but gone back, that I probably wouldn't be able to control how I worked around my kids. So it was this feeling coupled with what I saw before me was these amazing artisans, the skills, the handwork, and then this alpaca at source, which is the yarn of the Andes, as well as Peruvian cotton. And this just very simple concept came to me kind of within 24 hours of this instinct. It formed over maybe the week, but started talking to Nick about it that night. I didn't sleep, was thinking about names, Googling, and then it was 11/6 because I realized that's my birthday in the UK, 11th of June, and my son's due date 6th of November. He was born earlier, but it was like the same number. It was just such an instinctual thing. I didn't really go back on what that name should be. It wasn't questioned. Nick just put that into work, and off we went. So that's the start of the epiphany. And you might need to cue me in on the next question.
No, that's so incredible. I think it's such a testament to having a gut feeling and really following it. And I hope the people who are listening will tune into that, because look at what you've built from that. And also just what you said about your mom being around for you as a child. That's something that I've carried with me too in my work and thinking about my career, because it is really hard to balance these things. Emma and I have many friends from high school who ended up going into fashion in New York City, and most of them have since left those careers because it is so unsustainable when you're raising a family.
That's true.
So kudos to
right.
you.
And I have a question. So
tell me.
We're coming off another interview as well where someone followed their gut towards creating a business, and it wasn't a question along the way. Actually, Yana, Captain Blankenship, like the name came easily, the concept. Do you ever have other ideas, and how do you stay focused on the one that you're working on? Because I feel like
great question.
My instinct is constantly coming up with new visions and ideas, and it's hard to stay trained on the one I'm already unraveling.
Well, I think you touched on fashion as a business. It's all in complex, especially me, doing it as a business on my own. Before I was in my corporate life involved in design. And I was pulled into a lot of other things. I think that gave me the guts as well to know I could do way more, as well as watching so many entrepreneurs in New York. But it just keeps me on the course. I've made adjustments along the way of how I do things, taking the sales in-house, me selling. I haven't got a lot of room to digress and go off on tangents. If I'm delivering 3 collections a year, doing all these jobs, I wish I had a bit more time to dream.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you, right, and with fashion, you're always planning ahead, so then you're locked into that season.
You're like a year and a quarter always in the works from
Right.
like start to finish, because you're always kind of, I know it sounds weird, a year and a quarter, but you're always over 4 seasons, always at different points and more. So I guess it keeps me locked in. And if I'm in, you have to be laser focused to pull it off. And I thank my corporate training for giving me these wild execution skills. And I'm a calendar queen. I like stick to my TNA, and that's how I'm able to stay focused, eat whatever it takes, whether it means missing sleep or what. But I've got better at that as it's gone along. But, if I do have some spare time, I'm tapping myself on the back that I managed to do a headstand and do some yoga, go for a hike. And that's where I prioritize. And that gives me then space to maybe think creatively how I can do things differently within the business, but within like what we are, a women's wear, knitwear business, it's very laser focused. So,
Well, and in some ways, you're always coming up with new ideas, right? Because every collection is a new.
oh yeah, within it there is. So I guess my creativity has to stay within this force rather than digressing from, like what the company does. But yeah, you're right. Problem solving is creative. Like the amount of fires you put out across boards of like production or delivery, customers, marketing, shipping, in-person events. So you wear many, many hats. I wish I could clone myself.
That's impressive. So how, just going back to the core of your business, you have such a strong mission around sustainable fashion and slow fashion, and you source from these artisans, I believe in Peru, maybe elsewhere. Can you tell us more about the sourcing and how you've established those relationships?
Yeah, so as I, left off on that question saying, and that was my epiphany, then I then had to start climbing my big mountain. So after feeling this started my research straight away. And I'd gone to a trade show in Lima where I made some connections with groups. And so now it took some time. We actually did work with Bolivia for some time, but that was a little too complicated and it didn't work in a costing structure. So really we're 100% Peru. Sort of one thing led to another. I'm still with three of the core people that I've been with since probably year 3. They became my 3 partners. And then these partners go out to maybe 40 different artisan groups, depending on the speciality. From there, they translate my, technical instructions. I deal with just these 3 kind of teams. And then they funnel out to this whole network, which even if my Spanish, it's rubbish, but even if it was better, I wouldn't stand a chance because there's a lot of dialect and, I funnel everything through them and it's mainly WhatsApp, email, and I'm due a visit, but mainly it's done through those channels. The sourcing side, as I said, Peru, the Andes have the most amazing source of alpaca in the world. And in this epiphany, I could see I already knew there were these 2 amazing mills that offered like a stock service of colors. So that allowed me to know I could do things from a minimum standpoint and use these resources to start. Because when you're small and you're only going to produce a few units, you need to have lower minimums, which is what Peru has offered me. So I hope that kind of answers that. But it's been constantly climbing a rock face.
Peru is a good place for climbing rock faces.
Yeah. I know you're climbers, but I am not. But I'm good at like the theoretical version of it.
Hi, friends. Quick pause to say thank you so much for listening. It's really nice to know we're not just sitting here talking to ourselves. Though, to be fair, we'd probably be doing that anyways.
Definitely. Season 2 is our love letter to the Hudson Valley, and we're thrilled to be sharing our guests' extraordinary stories and wisdom with you. Did you know that for each episode, we're also offering an exclusive giveaway that includes a gift from one of our guests or a copy of one of our own cookbooks? You don't want to miss these.
And it's so easy to enter the giveaway. All you need to do is head to bit.ly DLN giveaway. That's DLN giveaway, all lowercase, and enter your email. The link's also in the show notes.
All right, back to the episode.
Emma and I, we should say, I think you know this, but we spent 2 months together in Peru in college, and we're just completely blown away by the culture, the landscape. It was one of the, neither of us are religious, but I remember standing in certain places there and just feeling the power of the land. And so I can relate to the epiphany that you had. I did not start a really successful company as a result of being wowed by this land at 19, but it is truly powerful.
You remember the feeling. And I think it's probably just where I was in my life. A lot of things were aligning. Yeah. So yeah, it sounds cliche, but it's really this idea, people would ask me, do you want to have your own brand? I'm like, no, not really. For many, many years, it wasn't really on a trajectory. And then it was just a feeling of like, no, I can do this my own way. And I want to control, where my work is going. And then ultimately, sort of be around my family.
Yeah. So the follow-up question I had within that long one was, do you feel like you've achieved a level of balance? I know you said you don't get a lot of sleep and you're doing yoga and walking where you can, but how are you feeling about that?
It's funny when you sort of reminded me of one of the questions you might ask when I saw the word balance. I think maybe it was the wrong word to use, because I think probably what is someone's balance or, isn't someone else's. And when you have your own business, everything is on your own shoulders. And it's not for everyone, like the stress of living in a lot of discomfort, I'd say, or like unknown places, giving up your paycheck and all the above. But what it has given me, what I've gone back to, is the flexibility to be around my family and do work on my own terms is what is the most valuable gift. If I've needed to do night shifts, in the early days, there were many, that's how it was pulled off. That's why the brand existed. And I was able to keep it simple, being so lean, just me, and not have anyone else complicating the way I was doing things. Of course, there were other factors, like getting things produced on time that you have to be okay with. But I'd say now I'm much better. I have an amazing employee for the last 4 years who really supports the operation. So it definitely cut down on night shift work. I don't think that was perfect, but it was what I needed to do to get here. I'm working on, getting more sleep. And this past year, definitely, on the weekends, my husband's very good at creating the boundaries. We get out with the family. If there's work to be done, it's done. When I do it at night, it's because it's away from everyone else and I'm not infringing it on the family. Go skiing, go hiking. And this last year, I've got better at knowing I'm my own boss and going, no, I will go to that yoga class and I'll go to work at 10. That's okay. Or, just flexing a bit more. It's amazing how, because we have to be laser focused being entrepreneurs or in any job and a parent, you're just like on a mission to get it done. So I'm definitely improving there.
I love thinking about trading the word balance for flexibility, because I do think that is so much more accurate, especially when you're a parent who also has a business or works outside the home. It is less about, everybody's idea of balance is different, right? Everybody needs different amounts of sleep or different food. We've talked to so many different guests who, have different ways of doing things. So I love the idea of flexibility. Something that you wrote was I read it in an interview, I can't remember where now, but you were talking about these Peruvian workshops as spaces where all the women work together in groups around their families. And you described as the mothers, the mother hens, the aunties, the brothers, and the women running the show and keeping it all together. And I think as moms, we can relate to that a little bit. But what I really loved about it was just this idea of community. And I have seen how you've built such a strong community of other creative business owners like yourself in Kingston. So I'm curious, how do you tap into that community and lean into that as a mother and as a business owner?
Being in Kingston's been an amazing experience for me. 8 years ago, I moved into the Fuller building. It's a historic converted shirt factory, created and owned by architect Scott Dutton, he is just the dream landlord. So we'd moved upstate full time. I was working at the lower level of the house, and I just soon realized we literally were going to drown in alpaca, shipping out big orders at night. Nick was, there was only so far I could go with that. Big trucks mowing down our wall and, just pallets in the garage. So I found this building, we found this building, and I literally was one of the first people in, and it's since built around us, so many buildings and designers have come to this area. So I'd say there's a big creative surge here and across the Hudson Valley of entrepreneurs that are coming here to create. And then you have to find, how to put your business out there. Doesn't mean all my customers are all here, but it's been an amazing base of small business owners. So within the Building Those community, I organised the Fuller Market. We just had this past weekend with 30 vendors. I started that 7 years ago. And it's really a community of all different types of small businesses that I also have met at, there's another makers market called Field and Supply, which has been going on in Kingston for some time, as well as making connection through our blog stories, which we call 11/6 Women, where almost every month I'll do a feature. That's been a lovely way of sort of aligning with women who inspire me with their businesses, and sort of, that cross-pollination there with what we're all doing, many around children as well.
So that's from the business standpoint. And then in terms of family life, I mean, you do such a good job of getting people together around food and dancing. Actually, when Emma and I were writing the intro for you, which we'll record later, one of the things that I say is that in addition to all the things that make you amazing, you're so much fun. And if there's ever a gathering that you've planned, we can expect to have music and dancing, and we're always encouraged to dress up, which I so appreciate. But what are some of the things you think about when... Yeah.
No, I was going to say the first time I met Catherine was at Nolan's surprise party. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I think
40th.
so. Yeah. And Catherine was just like getting down, dancing. Like, she is so much fun.
Oh, well, I'll put that back at you. Ditto. I think you twins do too. There's, I do love dancing. That is, I think that's a therapy for me. And that's one of my examples of really, when I'm not working, I turn off and go all in on, being social, gathering. Even if you're busy, I think it's really important to sort of have that balance and gather people and just not make it all about work, even if it's rattling at the back of your head. So yeah, do love a dance party and gathering people around food. And when we do that, it might be, we will put something simple together. It might be a big pulled pork. I'm often pulling out Sarah Copeland's Every Day is Saturday. Like literally, she makes me look like I can cook. And she's so gracious because many times she's attending, I'm like, yes, I've got your recipes out again. I made her chocolate cake 100 times or more. The kids even make it on their own without me getting involved now. It's amazing. But so, yeah, just gathering in a simple way, like doesn't have to be perfect. We're lucky enough to have space upstate within, the house and in the garden in the summer, have a pool, which I'm still pinching myself about now. We never had that in England, Yeah, making sure you gather, it's just your soul to be social and connect with friends and eat, dance and laugh. And then you're going to go back to work, with a whole lot more drive.
Emma here with another quick dance break. Okay. Anyway, if you're enjoying season 2, we'd love to stay in touch through our Substack newsletter. You can subscribe at the link in the show notes, easy peasy, or head to dinnerlastnightpod.com and subscribe to our newsletter from there. When you subscribe, you'll get one of my free monthly meal plans for stress-free, delicious dinners that your whole family will love. And trust me, I know, and so does Dim, because we've tested all these recipes on our kids. Let's head back to the episode now. I mean, it sounds like one of the words that's coming up for me as I'm listening to you is that you have good boundaries. Like you're good at establishing when you're working and when you're not. Do you feel like that's true?
Yeah, I think two things make you, or two things in my life, I think. Well, family, of course, that automatically bringing up kids, you realize, wow, my life isn't quite my own as it was. So you really have to make a structure that works so you can be there for them. Secondly, I'd say that Nick, my husband, business partner, he's very good with boundaries and it's taught me a lot. And we've been together 30 years.
Wow.
So, 30. So, and he's not a workaholic. He'll like to do work well and then he leaves it and then it's not work. And I think especially with the business where you could just, even if it's tinkering in the back of my mind, but you could literally never stop. And I think he's been, and for our marriage, of course, you just, weekends, you don't go diving into work or trying to, even if there's big deadlines, I think it's important. That's why maybe my little night working, which I call my stolen time club, trying to transition that into early morning and get some more sleep. But you find ways of working around it, but just so that we don't, infringe on the family and that we're present for everyone for a good amount of time.
I feel like we're probably all about the same age. I feel like I'm increasingly tired, more moody, like the whole perimenopause thing is possibly seeping in. Like one of the things I've always admired about you, for better or worse, is that you can have a drink and have a good time and it doesn't seem to impact your day the next day. Like you can be at work. Tell me more about how your experience is at this age in your body and juggling all these things.
Yeah, I think it's just important to be able to have a laugh and have a good time. I do like to have a cocktail, try to, balance. I think when you become a parent, you definitely know not to go too far. So in terms of like the next day, yeah, you can't have a hangover. It's mind over matter. So just trying to be, responsible of what that is, but also enjoy yourself. So you have to be responsible, but just sort of being in the moment, just having a good time. And as you know, I like dancing, it helps. So just listening to good music. We do have our Dancing Queens WhatsApp chain, which started early last year. And it definitely changed my year last year because there's nearly 50 women on this. And there's just all these, events that are dropped on it. And you're observing things that are going on, and maybe your kids are in bed, you can spontaneously go and you'll know a bunch of people. So it's happening now. The kids are older, that kind of life, getting a little bit back, but just keeping it balanced. But you just come back with as I said, your soul fed and smiling next day, even if you're feeling a bit tired. I think it overrides, you went out and had a good time for you because you give so much to your work, to the family, and there's being a parent, you're often squeezing that time that you used to have.
Yeah.
As a wee nipper, a wee lass on the town. So, yes.
Do you knit? Sorry, I'm just jumping in.
No, I don't have time to knit and purl anymore. I do some basic knitting with my daughter. Yeah, so my training is literally 5 technical years of knitwear training. So I'm on a machine. Wow. That's why our training is so particular and specialist. So mainly my training is actually machine driven, which is why, I can write the technical instructions. My hand knitting is nothing near to the ability of the artisans, like these popcorns. I'm wearing my sweater right now.
I'm wearing one of your sweaters.
I know how to design. I can see, obviously. Thank you.
I know.
But yeah, so I have, I don't get down to knitting much anymore, but I do engage in just doing simple projects with my kids more, and Sophia knitting and purling away a simple scarf. But as for me, just sitting, knitting as a hobby, it's really so driven into the business as well.
Yeah. Is knitwear more popular in the UK as a training because
yes, that's what I was saying.
Yes, but is that because of the culture? I mean, you think about like the Fair Isle sweaters and right?
Yeah, I think that they're just the heritage of textiles.
Yeah, the heritage.
So there's a lot of specialist UK knitwear and fashion textiles courses, which they don't seem to go so technically, into these areas in I like that hat, into the fashion courses here. Not to say there aren't exquisite talents, but in knitwear, we, when I first came, it was like a British knitwear mafia, and we ruled all the jobs in the companies. We would have sponsorships and we would do hat trick moves so that each person knew they would get their visa and move to the next position when we'd kind of had it was time to move on to the next spot. But yeah, hopefully that answers that. Yes, yeah. I'm a knitwear geek, and my mother and my grandma, I didn't add, are huge knitters. So despite that, I know this is about food, I was by her, but I was always by her playing probably more with pins and needles. There's pictures of me at 1 year old just making. So I've always been making and sewing and my version of knitting or embroidery, it was kind of in me from a very young age.
I put this hat on because it's Scottish knitwear, right?
Yeah, I know that I wouldn't claim to know what that tartan is, but it looks it's definitely heritage.
I just remember you always saying, well, did your mother teach piano or was it your dad?
He was a piano teacher. When we were younger, I don't know how she was pulling it off because I was running around the house pulling books out of book shelves and trying to get her attention. Once I took my clothes off when I was 5 and this poor boy was so embarrassed. But I just exhibitionist at heart, you see. So she had piano lessons and they tried, and my dad's a classical singer. My sister ended up going into being a singer. But for me, I dabbled a bit in music. I love music, but to play it, all my kind of time of, nurturing something was not in practicing the piano or clarinet. I just was like, boomeranging back to a sewing machine or some sort of craft project, like ET goes home. They didn't force it. They tried 3 times and I'm like, okay, I'm not a piano player. And I couldn't read music. And I look at my son playing the clarinet in the band here. I'm in awe of the music he's reading because I have no interest. I just play by ear and you can only get so far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your love for music comes through in the dancing, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we're almost at time. So I want to ask one more question. Then I have some quick fire questions for you. So coming back to dinner, is there a ritual or a tradition that you have at the dinner table that you could share?
I think we pretty much every night sit down together to have an evening meal. Rarely is there a moment we don't. So I think that's the ritual in itself, that we're teaching our kids to sort of be at the table, eat with a knife and fork, have good manners, have a moment to say thank you for our food. We always try to say thank you to the person who did cook. Someone helps lay the table, someone helps clear the table. They might get involved with the cooking along the way, depending. But my goal is to have them cooking a meal really soon, like fully. Like I feel some things are almost capable of, but in terms of rituals, it might be, just something we might be cooking together in a more relaxed time on the weekends. We might make pizzas from scratch, do pasta from scratch, or press tacos. And I think they've become lovely rituals to sort of a more interactive cooking together. But in terms of just a daily thing, I think it's about sitting down and being there despite what's going on, even around all the clubs and whatnot, just being present for, a short time and speaking about our day.
Yeah, that's so important. This will be a theme on this season of the podcast. I feel like I've already brought it up 3 times, but we are struggling. We have always sat down for dinner together every night. And now with all of the activities that the kids have, we find that we've been eating so late and then they've been going to bed so late. So now we're having to switch things up a little bit. And I'm feeling really anxious and sad. And, I know I will continue to sit down as much as possible, but it does feel like a big shift.
It's going to change for us too. I mean, my daughter was just in the Nutcracker, and as they get older and they have their things, but I think still preserving, definitely a few times where it's family time.
I wonder if that's because, as you know, Emma and I share a similar background to your kids, and that both our parents grew up in the UK. Our mother's half Italian. And so this ritual of always eating together was really important. And it wasn't something that our friends shared. I don't know that any of our friends, Emma, did the same thing. I think more people in our generation in this country are aiming to do that, but it certainly wasn't the norm for us growing up. No. So I just wonder if that comes from UK.
I mean, we all ate together, and I think my mum sat down. I think my dad would be later back from the office, but there was always it was Sunday weekend and Sunday dinners we had together. But I think, because we've decided to sort of own our own work schedules, I think we're making it a priority while we can until, there are things that come up. But we have to let them grow up and be independent too. But
so hard.
Preserve some time.
Yes. Okay. I have some quick fire questions.
Okay.
So don't think too much. Don't think too much about the answer. Okay. First one. What's your go-to pantry ingredient?
We must have nuts. Almonds.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Just because even if you're dashing, you can grab that handful of nuts.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unsalted nuts. Yeah. Off you go.
Unsalted? Oh, I like them roasted and salted. Okay, the next one is, if you were going to have a dinner on your own, no one else, what would be your ideal dinner, including cocktail?
Well, I'll start with the cocktail. That would be a spicy margarita or some sort of mezcal-y, spicy, sharp something. And then I'm just a seafood lover, so some sort of amazing seafood dinner. Yeah, just always love that. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the nuts. I said unsalted.
Unsalted, right. And I said I like roasted and salted. But
I said salted, sorry.
No, I was surprised. It is important. Okay. What's your favorite local restaurant?
I'm going to go with a family favorite. It might not be our dream date place, but we do all love it together, which is Ollie's Pizza, which is a great, relaxed pizza place that they do have great signs, good garlicky broccoli keeps me on track, and loads of other things. That it's not all about the pizza, but you can just go there. The vibes are great. The
drinks are great. Negronis on tap. I mean,
exactly.
Who doesn't like that? And
they have an indoor cozy. I mean, many of us, in the community here all enjoy it. It's a great family place. So I'd say that's our favorite local spot.
I think mine too. Okay, British comfort food that you still crave.
It's funny. I'm British. Not really. No, I'll go
Not
for an
Marmite.
Italian.
Do you like Marmite?
Actually, you've got me on Marmite. That is the one thing that actually, if someone said, what can I bring over? But otherwise, I'm really happy with all the options in New York. You get everything you want. But yes, you can go with Marmite. I'd lean into my Italian side more, I think.
Yeah. Our mom always made toast with butter and Marmite when we were sick, and I still have that when I'm sick.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, no, I have. I really, that's a very particular thing. Yeah,
it is. I feel like you probably do. You like candy? No.
I haven't really got a sweet tooth. I do like very dark chocolate though. That's why I make the dark chocolate.
Because I was going to ask, British candy was a huge part of our childhood, and I was going to ask what your favorite British chocolate bar was.
Okay, I can answer that because my father worked for a company that was owned by Mars, believe it or not, American, and so there were. Despite my mother being very healthy, there were these secret boxes of chocolates in the house. I'm going to go for Bounty because I love coconuts. And we would go seek it out in the attic, these wholesale boxes, and go into the bed of a torch. I don't know if she took it too far, that the balance wasn't there, but then we would go and get this chocolate. So I'm going to have a Bounty bar.
Love it.
Before we go, I know, don't cry, it's sad, but we'll be back. We just want to say thank you for tuning in to dinner last night with us.
Season 2 is really close to our hearts, and we are so honored to share the thought-provoking, heartwarming, inspiring, and refreshing conversations we've had with some serious superstars from the Hudson Valley region of New York.
And if this episode made you think of someone, a friend, a parent, a neighbor, anybody who popped into mind, the guy at the post office, the cashier, we'd love it if you'd take a moment to share it with them.
You can send it.
All right, Tim's losing it. You can send it in a text, a DM, or however you share things you love. You can just tell the cash register person when you're buying your groceries. Thank you so much for helping our small but mighty Dinner Last Night community grow. We love you.
We're so grateful. We love you.
Okay, I know that I'm pretty sure that Nick makes you coffee every day, right? A coffee drink. Yeah. What is your go-to coffee order?
That is his one job in the morning. Well, this is not a lot. This is not a short answer. Sorry. 50-50 in the evening. In the morning, I'm the packed lunch gal and the breakfast gal. So his job is beverage director, and I must have my cappuccino from Gasoline Alley Coffee. And I think that's why I'm so happy every day. I just need that one good coffee, and I'm off.
That would make me so happy every day.
Green juice first and then coffee. That's why I call him beverage director.
Does he make the green juice as well?
Well, we cheat a bit because it's AG greens, which that's one of my other things that I've had for maybe 5 years. We've had a subscription. I do a test that's helped really keep things super and on an even keel when you're just running.
Wow, I've always been curious about it.
Athletic greens, yeah. So that first, and then the coffee, and off I go. I take breakfast with because I don't want to rush it, but it's a loaded up, But coffee, yes, religion.
Is the green juice the first thing you drink, or do you have water before that?
Sometimes I'll grab from my upbringing, I'll grab a hot water, lemon and ginger. And then that's why I literally have my beverage director lining up 3 drinks while I'm doing all this. And then I'm off, really liquidated.
I know we have to wrap up, but what do you take for breakfast on the go?
Usually I have a small oatmeal, some yogurt, some berries, or a kiwi and nuts on top. Mainly it's been that. I've definitely put some more work into my grab and go being more nutritious. Sometimes might take some eggs if I'm training, and a banana out the door would probably be my on the go to the place. Then I might work out or be on the go. And then I have the breakfast when I'm actually sat and not wolfing it to get out the door with children. I'd just rather not eat in that way.
Same.
I never skip. I'd rather wait a bit just to eat properly, and then I'll eat lunch. But I maybe in my past years growing up, silly eating habits, but in this time when you, as you say, we need to be on for all aspects of life. I really like feed the machine. That's what I say to my kids. You gotta eat super to be super.
I love that. I'm definitely adopting it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the most played album or song in your studio right now?
Oh gosh, in my studio. It's funny because with my employees here, I let her DJ. It depends what job I'm doing. If I'm designing and getting into my own groove, it will probably be something like Roy Ayers, like an Essentials Roy Ayers, who I just absolutely love from my early days in New York when I saw him when I was 19 at SOBs. God bless him. But sometimes we're like packing hundreds of boxes. We're putting on something like LDC sound system so we can like get the beats done. So it depends on like where I'm going with things. And if I need to be super calm, I might put on some Alexander, I can't say her surname, Swolensky, is it her name? She's a Canadian classical pianist, and it's I think I've butchered her name, but it's something that really just lets me go in and be calm, maybe collect my thoughts, and sometimes just silence. Like today, I'm silent because no one's here.
Are you in your studio right now?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been there, Emma?
No.
It's so beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Catherine. I hope this was fun for you. And I love talking to you and hearing more about your journey and how you're doing all the things you do.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to speak to you both, and also Emma, getting to know you both too. I'm just in awe of the identicalness too.
Did you notice she dyed her hair dark like mine?
I see that. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I love being alongside you both in the community too. It's all part of the energy. We're all on a journey together.
Before you go, I just wanted to say one more time, thank you so much for listening to Dinner Last Night. Feeding our families isn't always easy, but dinner is almost always a story worth sharing and a meal that connects us all. Dinner Last Night is co-produced by us, Emma Frisch and Dimity Palmer-Smith, your twin hosts behind the show. And the episodes in Season 2 are edited by Stuart Hetzler. The theme song we can't stop dancing to is written by Emerson Longstory Bartlett, featuring Drew Martin on saxophone, and yes, that's a chorus of our kids you hear singing along. To get all the juicy extra bits that accompany each episode, like recipes and giveaways, you can subscribe to our newsletter at dinnerlastnightpod.com. And every episode includes a special giveaway, which you can enter through the link in the show notes or by heading to bit.ly/DLN giveaway. That's DLN giveaway, all in lowercase. You can also follow us on Instagram at Dinner Last Night Pod for guest highlights, micro street interviews where we buck up and ask strangers what they had for dinner last night, dinner time inspiration, and cheesy twin moments. From our table to yours, thank you so much for being part of this journey, and thank you for listening.
What'd you have for dinner last night? For your daughters and your sons versus where you come from. What'd you have for dinner last night? How many meals can you make in your mind? What'd you have for dinner last night? You got some tips for saving some time? What'd you have for dinner last night? Dinner last night. I think I know you better if I know your recipe. Think we're in this together, 'cause we all gotta eat.